20, about 20. So between 5 to 20, I'm sorry, what's your name? Yeah, from between 5 to 20 ada difference kan?
Oh, yeah.
And then I tell you, with 20 to 50, another one. And then 50 to 100 is another one. Now, sekali went from 30 to 5. in the first 2 years. Because we couldn't pay everybody's salary, everybody walked out. It was an interesting story. All the founders went to the office in the morning, obviously exhausted. And you know, the spouses were complaining and bitching and everything the night before about not having money enough to they had to come and report. This part of it. But anyways, we came in the next morning, everybody was like ready in the office and said, okay, everybody's going to resign, our resignation letters are all getting. That was an interesting story. And, you know, to be honest, the founders of Sky are all ex-merchants. So we had these big machines, we ran Alta Vista. We had these big machines that actually ran Alta Vista and all our technical staff just walked out. And we didn't know how to do it, how to operate it. And so I would call them and say, you know what, this light is blinking and there's like a warning sign. What do we do? They were nice enough to help us. I guess they were. But people is, I'll tell you what, you know, people is one thing that's interesting. After 14 years running an IT company, and IT people are very unique. They're like a different species altogether. Okay. You know, it's not about giving them money and rewarding them the most amount of pay. It's actually giving them new things to do, new challenges. They get excited about that, and I get excited about that too. And this is the people that we want. There are people that because we grew from 30 to 5 and then to 50 people, and then the next year we grew to 100, and the following year we grew to 600. It was like a big jump from 100 to 600, and big jump from 50 to 100. When we jumped from 50 to 100, we felt that we didn't have the expertise internally anymore. We don't have the project managers, we didn't have the proper systems analysts, we didn't have the R&D people, and then suddenly we had this demand that we had to fulfill, but we didn't have the technical people behind it. And we brought in people that were from multinationals. We brought in people from big government-linked corporations, okay? Because they had the expertise of project management and so on. And they came with their expertise. But as an entrepreneur company, you know, when you work in a GLC or you work in a multinational, okay, you get your email, you get your pass ID, and you know, next thing you know, your PC is on your laptop will be there, and somebody will give you your desk keys and so on. As an entrepreneur company, we don't have that process. You need to come in and ask for the PC yourself and so on. So they're not used to it. So they will just sit there and wait. And they can't operate with the system. They were great as project managers, but when they don't have the environment and ecosystem around them for them to operate in such a way like us, when we were just 50 people, we don't have that processes and we don't have that HR people that's senior enough or experienced enough, they can't operate. And I remember at one time there was a customer that wanting to have the project team to go to Johor for a meeting. And the project manager, senior guy, was supposed to go, and I walked into the office and he was sitting at his table. I thought he was supposed to be at the client's place this morning. He said, yeah, but I'm waiting for the petty cash to go there. Here, I'll take money, I'll give to you, go down. Okay, thank you. But I called a very one of the founding employees of Sky, and he was already there. And I said, oh, you're there? Okay, that's good news, so no problem. He said, no problem there, we had a technical meeting and so on. And I said, your project manager is not there yet, but I gave him money to go. So yeah, I know. Oh, how did you go then if you didn't get that cash? Or we use our money ourselves? You know, these are the people that you want. Okay, they may not be the best project managers, they may not be the best systems analysts, they may not be the real, but you want people to sacrifice because you want the team to go through with you, because you can't do it alone. And when they go through with you to the hard times, okay, you need this team to stay, to be by your side. And they've been around with us, and we're glad to know that I think we don't have any more founding. You know, we have one. We have one founding employee still. He was with us, and he left for Telecom Malaysia, he left for Oracle, and he came back to us. And we're glad that he came back to us because he learned a lot when he went to Telecom and Oracle. But he still has the Scully blood, and he went through the suffering with us. And he's heading our data center business, he's the CEO. But we had our group financial controller and his another CEO secretary left our company. They just left earlier this year, and we were happy that they left on good terms because they started their own business. And for us, we want to find new entrepreneurs. And a lot of the people who left us is because they started a new business. And they come back supporting us, and we support them by giving them contract and outsourcing work. So I think we've outsourced close to 100 million ringgit to about 70 or 100 companies already in the past 5 or 6 years. But we're happy to know that we can help people to become entrepreneurs. Because entrepreneurship is so important in this country. I mean, our employment structure is that we are employed by the government. We depend on the government too much. And if it's not the government, it's big corporations. But we don't have the dynamism of smaller companies that innovate and so on. And we can't innovate because there's really lack of demand for our innovation. Isn't it correct? One of the biggest problems that we have as starting a company is that number one, after you figure out what you want to do and your idea, you need to sell, correct? I think everybody here would agree that's the biggest problem, right? But we had the same problem. But we kept knocking the door. You know, in 1997, nobody knew about internet advertising. We ran Auto Vista Search, and we had to educate the market. People were talking about print ads, TV ads. And here we come, there's internet ads, and they go, internet, they don't even understand what was the internet in 97. So we had to educate them. We talked about search engines and so on. But you know how we sold? We sold by thinking long term. Okay. One of the good stories that we had was that we had a data center business, and most of our data center business was the private sector. Okay, they jumped on the bandwagon for hosting and co-location until our data center was full, and then we said, okay, let's hit the government. To be honest, we only attacked the government in 2000, 2001, 4 years after we were established. Before that, our business was all from private sector. And our first person that we had to convince for hosting of website was Bank of Malaysia. Okay? The Central Bank of Malaysia. And they didn't believe. He said, you know, why should I host to you? I've got a nice data center in Central Bank already, machines with people and so on. So we asked them, very simple, we're there 24/7 for you.